My devotion this morning was about temptation, how God offers us a way of escape when we're tempted. The Bible tells us that we're tempted by our own evil desires. And I have found as an adult that we are tempted by things that we expose ourselves to at an early age. And I know sometimes we don't always expose ourselves to things. Sometimes unfortunate things happen to us that we're exposed to things that are not of God. And sometimes we do expose ourselves to those things. But I have found that when you expose yourself to something, you have to overcome that as an adult. So just take, for example, like me, and I'll be transparent here, as like drinking. Like I started drinking and I was going out partying and that kind of stuff when I was like a teenager, like 18. And so when I started growing in my relationship with Christ, that's something that I had to overcome. And like now, I'm tempted. Sometimes it just depends on where I am. Like if I'm at home or at a family function and stuff like that, my family know that I don't drink anymore. But sometimes the devil will tell me, go on, get you a little sip, and I have to fight that temptation. But had I never introduced myself to drinking at an early age, then I wouldn't be trying to fight it now as I have grown into an adult. And so I even tell my kids that, don't introduce yourself to sex. Don't introduce yourself to drinking. Don't introduce yourself to drugs. Don't introduce yourself to porn and all of that kind of stuff, because all of that is going to become a stronghold in your life as an adult. And you're going to be trying to fight yourself, to get rid of it. And especially when you get married, those are things that you don't want to bring into a marriage. So that's the things that I try to teach my kids. But we are in an imperfect world and we are imperfect people, and sometimes we do give into our desires, our fleshly desires. And so when we do that and we expose ourselves to things that are not of God, like I said, it do become a stronghold, and we have to try to break those things. And God does help us to overcome those things when we are really ready to overcome it and we lay them at His feet. And so when we overcome them, that doesn't mean that they're not going to come back up, because the enemy uses those lustful desires and those our fleshly desires to tempt us with things that we know that we have already experienced. It's nothing new. It's something that we know how it is. We know how it feels, how it makes us feel. And so he brings those things back up because his job is to steal, kill, and destroy. And so he wants us to keep doing those things that are going to steal our joy, to kill us and destroy us. But when we are tempted, the Bible also tells us that God gives us a way of escape. Now we have to take the way of escape. If we don't take the way of escape, we end up going down a long road of consequences that comes from not taking the way of escape. And I experienced this firsthand, and it wasn't long ago that, God gave me two ways of escape, and I didn't take them. And so I end up having to go down this long road of dealing with the consequences of that. So I just encourage you, if you have overcome something from your fleshy desires, something that you were working on, and you have overcome it, and you are being tempted by it today, or and it may come back up. It always does come back up, because that's all Satan does. He doesn't create anything new, because he's not a creator like God. But he goes back and he get those things that we are experienced with, that he knows that makes us feel good in our flesh. And so he brings those things back to us. And so every time he brings it back to you, you got to look at God and look for your way of escape, because if you don't, he's going to take you down a road that is not going to be pleasant. And so I just encourage you today, always look for your way of escape when you're tempted. And as an adult, if you're thinking about doing something or introducing yourself to something that is not of God, like I want to go out there and I want to try this and I want to try that, don't do it, because it's going to become a stronghold in your life that you're going to have to go back to God to help you to break. So just don't introduce yourself to it in the first place. So I hope that this has been an encouragement for somebody on this day because I'm preaching to myself. Today I'm preaching to myself, and I am encouraging myself as I am encouraging you. Just don't do it if you have not exposed yourself to it. And if you find yourself overcome by something and there's a temptation, find your way of escape and take that way of escape. I promise you, you'll be glad that you did. I hope y'all have a blessed day.